This transformation video will be slightly shorter than what you're used to, mainly because the igloo itself is actually very small, so transforming it won't take very long. But that's not really good enough for me, so I decided to add a couple more options for transforming this igloo into an entire village. Let's get straight into it. So straight away we have our tiny igloo, and this is where the problem of transforming an igloo lies, is the fact that the build itself is actually very small. With the temples we have a lot more to work with. So I'm going to give you a few options. The first one is very simple and is a little bit annoying for anyone that's not in creative. You're going to need a lot of snow, and a lot of snow. So not just the block, but the actual snow that gets bigger every time you place it as well. So we need to make the igloo a bit bigger. So I'm basically increasing the entire thing by one layer, just lathering it on top, making sure it retains that circular shape. But once I've done that, I then start layering the actual snow on top of it to try and give it a lot more curvature. Now this is less technique, more by eye, but essentially if you get enough of it, you can make it look really domed and a lot more natural. Unfortunately, if you don't have access to the thin snow block, I don't really have a solution for you because of the size of the igloo. On the inside, however, we can add a quick furnace and have a nice chimney that goes out the top. I know that kind of defeats the purpose of having an igloo, but I think it actually looks okay despite being not very logical. You can also add some ice as windows, and that's pretty much it. I did say that it was very quick, and I didn't touch the inside because I rarely do on these transformation videos. It's up to you what you want to do on the inside. However, I did say I would expand on this because this is clearly not enough. We can take this way further if we're going to transform it Grian style. So what we can do, much like our underwater base, we can extend it and add more domes. So for this design, I want to suggest making another one, but slightly bigger, with exactly the same design, but without the same entrance. So you essentially make a large circle, and add plenty of snow around it, and add some glass panes as windows instead of ice this time. Now this dome will be your main one perhaps, and the other one is just your entrance, and you could use this for farming, or whatever you wanted. But essentially you build it up in exactly the same way. We're not transforming here, we're making from scratch, but we're trying to emulate the same style that we just have with our original igloo. So as you can see, I've got half a circle, and then I just replicate it onto the other side, but we do need to add that snow again to give it the proper shape. Without those extra layers of snow, they tend to look quite square, and that's exactly what you don't want with an igloo, which by definition is supposed to be very, very rounded. So that's my idea for expanding it. But again, I wasn't quite happy with this. One igloo transformed wasn't quite enough. So what if we added some more? A campfire perhaps? Just a simple cauldron with some fences, a few chairs perhaps, and a chest or two for decoration. But this wasn't enough. What if we made an entire village? I just copy-pasted the original one, but if you made a couple more igloos, we can make a pretty good looking igloo village simply from this original first small igloo. And the reason I ended up making this was because I didn't have a satisfactory answer on how to transform this igloo into something magnificent because of the simplicity of it in the beginning. Now underground I haven't obviously touched it at all. What I would expect people to do is to link up all of those dungeons and have an underground network. But in the replay mod, that's kind of hard to show because going inside in such a small space isn't very fun to look at. But I love the effect that this has had. But we can still add more. This village isn't quite finished. We can add some smoke as cobwebs, we could add a little ice hole where you can go and fish in, and then of course you have to add some spruce trees for effect, and then hope it snows so it completes the entire scene. I really like this build and how it's turned out, and I'm sorry if this wasn't what you were expecting from my usual Transform series, but I'm all about doing things different and not following any sort of format. So I really like this build. It's very simple to make as long as you can get hold of that snow. So, thank you very much for watching, everyone. You may have noticed that my voice is very croaky, and you will notice that my voice will continue to be very croaky for a lot of videos. Now, that's because I am ill right now, and I'm about to go on holiday. So any videos that I produce now are going to be in my ill voice, so I'm gonna sound a bit croaky, and I do apologise. I can't stand how I sound right now. I'm trying my absolute best not to sound ill, but you can pretend to be happy, you can pretend to be sad. You can't pretend to be well when you are sick. So all I have to say is, if you've made it this far and you've put up with my croaky voice, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support that you're giving me, especially when I'm not feeling 100%. But at least I can take comfort in the fact that when this video is being played or uploaded, I'll be on a beach relaxing. So don't feel too sorry for me. And again, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.